What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I am BDLM coming to you, my buddy J4Y. What is going on this lovely Tuesday evening, sir?
Um, well, besides this fantastic, I was about to say fanatic.
Great.
No, that's a good thing. That's a positive thing.
Hmm.
Besides this fantastic podcast, probably nothing exciting. Which is why I'm glad we do podcasts. Maybe. Also, took some criticism. Gonna try to look at the camera a little more this time. It is difficult for me, but I will try to make
Oh,
it work. How are you doing?
it's probably because you have it like hanging from your ceiling on that
Yes.
like
Well, how
maybe if you
else
didn't
do
have
you?
it on your little what are they called? Not the little trains that go around on the tracks. Maybe if you're
What?
the like like a train garden that you have in Christmas and it goes around the.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe if your webcam wasn't on a train garden, Jay,
Maybe you're
you wouldn't
right.
have so
Oh,
many
you're talking about like
problems.
hanging from the top of a restaurant, like the that
What?
goes around the sides of like some restaurants, like at Christmas time, along the walls. Not many restaurants do this. I think I've seen it once actually, but there's a
I
tray that goes around like the wall, and it's cool.
There's a house nearby that around Christmas. There's a street in my neighborhood that goes crazy for Christmas. And this
Crazy for
guy,
Christmas.
he has a train that runs through his house and then comes out through his wall onto his front porch, and then it goes back around inside of his house. And since we're completely on
Is this the Christmas
topic,
episode?
this is. You thought we were talking Dota 2. We're talking about our train gardens
Apparently.
and other lovely memories. Did you ask me how I was? I'm just gonna assume you
Sometimes,
did.
maybe.
Uh, I'm doing pretty good. I have a lot of photoshopping to do tonight for class tomorrow.
Hmm.
But other than that, I'm doing fantastic on this episode 12.
Yes.
Very nice to be doing this. Also want to thank everybody out there listening, watching, doing whatever you're doing. Thank you very much for checking out episode 7. It just went up to 200 views. We're very
202.
202.
There you
Cool
go.
hell. That is something completely different.
I know.
202 views. Thank you very much for tuning in every week and hanging out with us. As we try to tell you every week, you can come join us in the MIRC at Poundodin On Demand. You can find us on Facebook.
Yes, I have a
With a
little link there, so
There you
can
go.
just easily access it now.
Wherever
We used
I'm
to have
hoping.
that super long link that didn't make any sense, and it was like some demonic code. But now it's just, facebook.com/Dota On Demand. Easy.
There you go. So this week we're actually going to be talking a lot about the professional scene. Obviously there wasn't a patch this week, and we generally tend to theme our podcast after the patches if they
Yeah.
happen to occur, but we didn't get one. But luckily there's been a ton going on in the professional scene that we get to talk about this week.
Yeah, I mean, there's just been so much action going on. It's been pretty awesome. There's been multiple tournaments happening at once, actually. But we're gonna, I guess, at least initially here, focus more on this Infused Cup, which is kind of gonna be like the center of the thing. And the reason I guess we really wanted to get there is first of all because the results were interesting, but also one of the teams that let's just say went far at least was a U.S. team. So we got to represent, our brothers. You know what I mean?
I did mean to mention that last week and congratulate Fire. I know you're trying to not hint
I
at
know,
it,
but
but
we're gonna say
for
it
winning,
anyways. Whatever.
yeah, for winning the Infused Cup, kudos to them. I guess just to get the conversation started, they were actually not too long ago kicked out of a tournament for abusing a quote-unquote bug with POC at the time. So they weren't even able to finish the tournament, and then they were able to just come back in the Infused Cup and come up from the losers bracket actually to take the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, like that's that. I mean, that's kind of like part of the setup of this tournament. Kind of allowed for something like that to happen. And I mean, I guess we're gonna get more into that actually later on when we talk about the defense itself. But I did want to just mention briefly, like when you think about some of the MOBA games, especially like I follow a lot of League of Legends as well in the competitive scene, like. If there's a losers and a winners bracket, generally what will happen is if you're in the losers bracket and you go and you keep winning games though, and you get to that final of the losers bracket and you win, then you get to have the chance to play the champion of the upper bracket, but it's usually a weighted series of games, aka the winners of the upper bracket start with a 1 game advantage in like a best of 3 or best of 5.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, in this situation, it was Fire versus Absolute Legends in the final, and Absolute Legends take the first game. So if this was one of those situations, boom, completely different outcome. So I'm actually really glad that we got to see 3 games out of these 2 really good teams.
Yeah, exactly. It was really nice, and I mean, like, just seeing. I think the maybe my favorite part was just how teams like adjusted. Like some teams might just like have these game plans. They go in there and they don't really like change it up. They're like, okay, well that didn't work, but it's because we did this and this wrong. But they don't really like think about really why they like the core concepts of it. And Fire, I think, really adapted well, and that's really what allowed them to, I guess, finish out winning this tournament.
Definitely. I mean, do you want to go over the picks and bans for the first game? Then we can get started
Yes,
talking about
my
that.
favorite part. You might call me the pick band master. That actually doesn't have a ring to it at all, so don't do
Wait,
that.
can you please be the pick band,
Pick
like
band?
just a car or something? So you can be the PBJ? Oh,
I do
there's your
enjoy
new nickname.
PBJs, actually.
The
Not
PBJ.
to be confused with PBR. It's a pretty bad beer, if you know what we're talking
Oh,
about. Anyways,
yeah.
so PBJ, let me do my announcements. So first game, we go into it with Fire versus Absolute Legends. So they started out, Fire did, I'll just run down their lineup really quickly. They went with Vitamancer, Windrunner, Omni Knight, Crystal Maiden, and Bounty Hunter. Um, and then Absolute Legends decided to run Chen, Shadow Shaman, Darkseer, Dragon Knight, and Dazzle. And then the bands RQ Fire decided to ban Antimage and Prophet, and then Sand King and Faceless Void. And then Absolute Legends banned Invoker, Night Stalker in the first two, and then Sand King, or I'm sorry, Skeleton King and Vengeful Spirit. So obviously, I think you might have a couple initial thoughts there.
Yeah, definitely from having watched the games and then reading an interview that we will actually link on our Facebook with the team captain of Fire, give me a little bit of insight into some of the recent stuff going on with them. Um, I think the really kind of the phrase you use to describe this first game is that both teams really just kind of had something in mind going into it, and then that's just what they went, as long as the picks and bans could allow it. Absolute Legends really like playing push-heavy team, being able to beat down towers. As we can see out of Fire, not so interested in that, picking up pretty much 4 support heroes,
Yeah.
and then Bounty Hunter to try and carry them into the late game.
Yeah, and I mean, I kind of, I can't say it well, it did irritate me. Not justified, of course, because I wasn't in the game or anything, but like, I didn't really grasp why they decided to go with the Bounty Hunter carry, as well as maybe even questioning, because what they ended up doing, just a brief thing, they decided to run Omni Knight as their solo mid. I believe he was up against that Shadow Shaman, wasn't he? Yeah, he was up against
Not
Shadow
sure.
Shaman in the middle. And then, they had the Bounty Hunter, I guess, trying to farm bottom. But it just, like, the lineup to me, yeah, just didn't make a lot of sense. I mean, all individually, like, all these heroes individually are pretty good heroes in certain lineups, but, like, together, meshed as one. I just, like, for example, Bounty Hunter. I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I just don't think that's the right pick when you see the other team has a Dragon Knight to carry with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why it seemed like a game where it was like Fire knew what they're going to do as soon as they got into the game. I mean, this isn't really, especially because Bounty Hunter was the last pick, that's not a good reactive pick to any of this,
No.
because, Bounty Hunter is really a hero that's going to take advantage of people being spread out, being able to pick people off by themselves, being able to pick off squishy heroes. Darkseer and Dragonite, not squishy really by any means. And then, of course, you have Hand of God by Chen. So worst case scenario, he can also try and save somebody's life. So really kind of a weird way to round out the picks there. I mean, I really do kind of like everything about Fire's team, except for really how Bounty Hunter plays into that. I mean, I really like picking up Crystal Maiden to go along with Omni Knight and Venomancer. Windrunner is, of course, always a fantastic pick, so you can't really complain too much about any of those first 4 picks. But yeah, really weird to see how Bounty Hunter kind of plays into that. The other nice thing, too, that I'm just now thinking about, Omni Knight really kind of gets countered by Diffusal Blade pretty easily, because you can purge off, what's the name of the shield? What's the name of Omni Knight's W? Drawing a blank.
Does he have
Repel.
one of those?
I thought he only had 3 abilities. You can purge off Repel. You can also purge off Guardian Angel. So, when that ult gets dropped to try and give you the several seconds of invulnerability, just purge that off, and you can still try and focus down one target while the rest of the team's invisible. So when you're playing up against a team that is probably going to look to pick up the Darkseer, the Dragon Knight, really not going to look to pick up a hero that's going to benefit from the Diffusal Blade, a good idea to pick up that Omni Knight.
I guess in that regard, maybe. But I just don't. Yeah, like I was saying, I don't like him in this lineup, and I guess the reason you want him is to either be able to, turtle / push well, like if you're trying to invade a base and you need to make sure you guys all survive when you're going in or whatever. Like he's a good counter initiator, I guess is like the best way to put him. As long as he doesn't get locked down, which actually happened quite often in this game, sadly. And that part of that reason, Shadow Shaman, a fantastic hero. We've been seeing, actually, I think he's getting picked up a lot more than he used to. And people are just realizing just how strong he really is, especially if he can get that really early blink dagger in those levels. He can just blink Hex right away. Even if you had magic immunity, it doesn't matter. Now you're locked down at least for 2.5 seconds at that max rank, and then he can just, use his, I was going to call it shackle, but I don't think that's actually the word for it. Is it?
I think it is, actually.
Wow.
You might be right.
Because I wanted to say it was wrong because it's shackle shot, and I was like, But no. Yeah, and then he's got I think it's total of 6.5, 7 seconds of CC if he doesn't get interrupted, which is just ridiculous. So, really good pick against anyone that even goes like a magic immune like Omni Knight or anything like that. And he did okay in the beginning of the game, but he just kept getting ganked. Chen was doing amazing things in the bottom lane and the middle lane. Like they just got outplayed and outpicked, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. I was gonna say something. It's interesting to see. I think we first saw Darkseer kind of pop onto the field as sort of the counter to Dragon Knight.
Yeah.
Interesting to see that Absolute Legends pick up both of these heroes. You think once you pick up that Aghanim Scepter on Darkseer, then you're making your own Dragon Knight copies whenever you want to, which is fantastic. But it's really interesting to see that those heroes that are sort of showed themselves to be maybe good opposition to one another are now kind of also very good alongside one another too, because of the power of that Darkseer ultimate.
Absolutely. And another thing, the Darkseer, the reason he's also a great laner, and he was taking a solo versus Windrunner top, he's really, really difficult to gank because of Surge. It's a very, very low mana cost. It's 20 at rank 1. It gives you max movement speed for, 3 seconds? So essentially, I
believe the first rank is 2, and then it goes up from there.
Exactly. So, as long as you don't get perma stunned, it didn't matter. They had CM and Vino to maybe set up ganks, but both of those are really more just slows than stuns, except for CM, I guess. But either way, he could get out of a lot of situations, and also he can farm from so far away just because he can put his damage over time on a creep, and that'll just clear the wave without him even being anywhere near it.
Absolutely, yeah. That Ion Shell is a fantastic ability to help you keep up lane presence, even if you yourself get pushed out. So, yeah, I really do like him in that solo lane. Really smart decision there.
So, basically, I guess the moral of the story is, since we're being so negative about their team, Fire got kind of crushed. It was a 30-minute game, including pick time?
Yeah, I believe so. I think the game clock went to 20-25 minutes. Yep. And for kind of the reason that we talked about, just looking at the picks, you can't pick off people with Bounty Hunter like you want to, and really fairly early on in the game, it just started getting out of hand, and the kill count, I believe, near the 10-minute mark was something like 6-1. They just really weren't able to get any kind of start going, unfortunately.
Yep, and then there's that was their downfall. So it looked kind of grim. It was pretty much a steamroll. And it just, it wasn't pretty. And then they went to game 2. And let's just say they mixed up a little bit. I guess I'll hop into the picks and bans really quick.
If you will, please, sir.
I shall, as the PB&J. Now I'm just calling it a sandwich.
If you're the picking and banning J, then you're the PB&J.
Well, okay, I just said
Oh,
PB&J.
man. Well, right, but
But now you have made sense of it. Thank you.
there you go.
Anyways, so in this second game here, Fire decided to go with the Shadow Shaman, Vino, Dragon Knight, Night Stalker, and Ancient Apparition, where Absolute Legends actually decided to go with Darkseer again as their first pick this time. Windrunner, Slardar, Leshrac, and then the Witch Doctor as their final pick. And then as the bands go, Fire decided to go with Anti-Mage, Chen, Dazzle, and Enchantress. And then the Invoker, Prophet, Vengeful, and Omni Knight from Absolute Legends. So obviously a big mix-up from last time.
Definitely. I mean, this is, I think, where we were talking about earlier, Fire really trying to change up the way they're playing. They got first pick, and they used it to grab Shadow Shaman, who was just a huge amount of really everything you want: push potential, damage, and crowd control. He's a very strong hero, and that was the first pick by Absolute Legends in the last game, correct?
Yeah, Chen was, yes.
Oh, Chen was.
Chen
Okay. Still picked pretty early, though. He generally is very strong hero. So they're already trying to take tools away from Absolute Legends that help give them such a strong advantage in the last game.
Yeah, and I mean, their bands were a lot, I think, not necessarily intelligent, well, but they made a lot more sense in this case. And I mean, I guess I just have, it just seems weird to me that no matter if Fire gets first pick or first ban, or I mean first pick or second pick, they still always ban Anti-Mage every time. Like, they must just really not like playing him in any of their lineups. And I mean, he does bring, like, when you pick Anti-Mage, you know what kind of game you're getting into. You're not going into a push strat, you're not going into like a heavy ganking strat. You're essentially trying to keep pressure off your Anti-Mage while he just farms for the late game to win.
Yeah, I mean, and I really don't even like the way he functions now, too, in a team game, because so much of it, you don't want him to be anywhere near the rest of your team. You want him to be in a lane where nobody else is. You want him to be in the jungle with the Battle Fury, just blinking between camps and clearing them out. If your Anti-Mage is like sitting with you and you're like kind of at a standoff with the other team, you're like, dude, Anti-Mage, what are you doing? You need to be far away from here, trying to get as much gold as you can.
Yeah.
So I don't blame him. If I were a team captain, I don't think I would even want to mess around with Anti-Mage either. Yeah, I'm glad they're doing it just to make sure that there aren't any of those 60-minute farm fests.
No one likes those.
I actually, as kind of weird as Absolute Legends team is, I really like their lineup. There's really a lot of potential in there to combo up different abilities. You have the Vacuum by Darkseer that's really going to help set up a whole host of abilities. Power Shot by Windrunner, Shackle Shot by Windrunner, Slardar Stun, Leshrac with with 3 of his moves. His Stun, the Lightning. No, all 4 of his moves. Pardon me. Everything he does, potentially an area effect ability. And then, of course, Witch Doctor is going to be able to Maledict, cast the ultimate, be able to do a ton of damage, and, of course, the Cask Stun as well. Going to be able to do quite a bit if they can just get the whole team inside that vacuum.
Yeah, which is not necessarily an easy thing to attain, especially, I mean, when you looked up against who were they up against, Shadow Shaman, who, of course, he got a Blink Dagger early, just like the last game the other Shadow Shaman did. And when you get initiated on, it's so much harder to set up any kind of combination you were originally planning on. Like, the only way they really had a good shot of it was if, like, Slardar could blink in and get a really good 3-person stun or something like that. But aside from that, yeah, it was really difficult for them to really get their combinations going. I remember Leshrac had a very good start of the game, and he was just off to the races. He was getting a lot of farm. He was getting a lot of good ganks, a lot of damage out. But Fire persisted, and I mean, like, that's Fire persisted. That's their name, and they persist. Okay, anyways, I don't know why I thought that was funnier than it was.
I don't know why either.
It resisted the water. I don't know. That didn't make sense. Shush. So, yeah, like, and they kept fighting, and that's what, like, I really, like, I respect that, and I really do appreciate it when, like, professional teams don't, like, just give up or just throw in the towel. They really knew this, okay, this is the finals, and we're going to give it our all, no matter what the score looks like, no matter what the farm looks like. We're confident in our picks and what we can do in the team fights.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a trend for both this game and Game 3. Fire really on their back heels when it came to the lanes and when it came to being all over the map, it wasn't really until they started getting team fights going that they were really able to get something going in the opposite direction. They're really struggling in the 2 and 3 man encounters, pretty much through this
The
and game
skirmishes,
3 as
they call
well.
it.
Yeah, the skirmishes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So really interesting to see how there's of course a lot of synergy between Fire's team, but when we're talking about the potential for the 5-on-5 fights for Absolute Legends, that's really when they would wind up losing.
Yeah, exactly. Like they really did come together on those 5v5s, and I mean, it makes a lot of makes a lot of sense with their lineups. I'm having all sorts of issues speaking today. You got the Shadow Shaman to initiate, which happened very well. The Dragon Knight, such a beast in those fights. It's hard to stress, like when he gets that, especially at level 3 ulti, he just dishes out tons of damage, and even if you manage to take him out, you still wasted or spent so many resources to take him out that
Hmm.
now the rest of the team is probably going to end up taking you out just because you had to do so much to kill him. And the only thing that was really kind of weird about this, they did pick that Night Stalker who actually didn't get banned at all, which was kind of curious. But the Night Stalker didn't manage to do anything successful. Like he tried to gank a few times when it hit nighttime, and he just kept getting killed. And what was really interesting about this game is how it started out, because Dragon Knight initially was getting no farm, as you recall. He was forced out of the lane. He was getting nothing. It was really a sad kind of. He even went middle and tried to gank at level 1. Like that's how bad it was. And then sure enough, nighttime rolled around. Night Stalker was like, I'm gonna do my thing, and Dragon Knight's just like, sup dude, I'll take your lane. And that's just kind of where it went from there, and he just really ramped up the farm and carried them in the mid to late game.
Yeah, I mean, he really started picking up later. He kind of was starting to do what we were talking about the Anti-Mage, when it starts getting a little bit later in the game, just trying to look for those opportunities to just be able to sit around and farm for a little bit. Didn't do the Helm of the Dominator trick that we've seen with Dragon Knights before, where you stack up the Ancients and then you get the level 2 Dragon form to just be able to clear that out really quickly, pick up a lot of farm. But he was just able to do it from just going around in the jungle, pushing lanes when he had the opportunity, and trying to keep up pressure in the lanes he was looking to push. I really like being able to have Night Stalker and Dragon Knight on the same team. They're both tanky heroes in their own right, but the Night Stalker is the one that's up in your face.
Yeah.
Just running around so quickly, able to slow and silence. But you can't really leave Dragon Knight alone either, because he's going to pop the Dragon form and he's just going to be doing a ton of damage from the back,
Yeah.
especially once that Dragon form hits level 2 or 3. You're talking about the things you have to do to try and fight Dragon Knight, trying to go all out on him. We actually saw, believe towards the end of the game, Dragon Knight had an Aegis the Immortal on him up in the top lane. Slaughter goes into initiate. His team comes in, they drop all they had on this Dragon Knight to take him down. As soon as he dies, pops back up with the Aegis, his team comes in comes Dragon form, and they're able to completely turn it around.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, they used everything. That includes that Darkseer wall on just one hero, and he didn't even have his dragon form up, like you said, until he rests. So essentially, that wall was wasted because his Dragon Knight's team was able to just come around it without even going through it, and they really just had a great position on him at that point. And yeah, it was over. If you had to spend that much to kill the Dragon Knight, and he just reses up, there's no way you're going to come back from that. Something interesting that I want to point out that I just noticed now.
Hmm.
Brewmother not picked or banned in any of the games.
Huh, that is very
Isn't that
interesting.
peculiar?
I want to talk about the picking and banning because I was thinking, I'm not 100% sure on this, but didn't at some point, League of Legends, they increased the number of bans that teams got? Or
Yes,
did I
they
just
did.
make that up?
It used to be 2 on each side, and then it went to 3 on each side.
Okay. I was thinking it's interesting that you would have that as you're getting more and more heroes added to the game, they're increasing the number of bans. So you can kind of say, okay, a certain percentage of the heroes you could say are, so good that you want to get them banned out. But in this, it's 8 bans total. Deal with it. No matter how
That's
many
a lot
heroes
of
get
bans,
added.
especially for this pool.
Yeah, that's very true. But we're thinking every week just about you're getting more and more heroes into this pool, and as we saw Night Stalker, able to make an appearance in this game because he wasn't banned out. You were saying earlier, Shadow Shaman's so strong, but not so strong that you want to
Right.
waste one of your bans on him.
Right. And I mean, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It's just, and that's also great when more of these heroes. Unfortunately, the heroes that are getting released are not necessarily popular. Invoker, of course, barring the rule there, but like
Mm.
Clanks, yeah, he's probably not going to be touched. Some of these heroes are just going to kind of not be silencer, whatever kind of thing. Unfortunately, but. Yeah, I mean, once we see more of these heroes like Invoker, like Demon, Shadow Demon, people that I shouldn't keep mentioning because people have no idea. But yeah, like it's gonna just be you're gonna see a lot of these really strong heroes. Like teams are gonna instead of just like I can ban them, no problem. They're gonna have to actually come up with strategies to be able to play against them because they're just so limited on their banning. You know.
Yeah, and at the same time too. I mean, we're gonna hopefully see a greater breadth of strategy too, as more and more, I guess, sort of niche heroes that are really good at these very specific things come into the game.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to see how the metagame starts to kind of shift as these heroes start to come in. Wasn't a hero this week. I believe one of our friends was saying they're adding a different type of playing mode or something. Um,
Hmm?
yeah,
Like
for the
casual
beta.
mode.
No, like a different. I think so. More people could get into the. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
But anyway, hopefully, this coming week we'll be able to get at least one hero added to the pool.
Yeah.
And that should be pretty
And you'd
sweet.
have to imagine it's going to be one of those ones we listed last week that had a lot of work done to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bane Elemental. I know you're excited about Bane Elemental. But there's a few of them there that, yeah, I mean, could definitely throw a wrench into the current meta and either might have to be seen or banned. And that's what's really cool when something like that actually impacts what they have to do in this competitive scene. You know.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see that. I didn't even say the picks and bans in the third game.
Not yet.
I guess I might
You're
as
welcome to
well,
though if you want
even though
to.
we talked about it. Might as well, just so people have an idea. Apparently I've been holding this piece of paper in front of the camera sometimes. And I shouldn't be.
Good job.
Anyways, don't worry, they can only see the back, which is oh my gosh, it's even more writing. That's
Is it
kind of sad.
nudies?
Unfortunately, it's
Only.
not. Yeah, it's new.
That's how we
New
get
drawings
viewers.
of Crystal Main. Anyway,
Oh baby.
so the third game, Fire versus Absolute Legends. Why do I keep saying their names? I think we know by now. Fire decided to pick Prophet, Vino, Darkseer, Beastmaster, and then Faceless Void. So finally they get that strong carry that I was complaining about before. Absolute Legends decided to go with Shadow Shaman, Dragon Knight, Enchantress, Ancient Apparition, and Sand King. So there's a lot of common picks from other games. Oh, I forgot to mention the bans. Fire decided to ban Antimage, Broodmother. Hey, there he is. I actually lied. But finally, he's banned. Then Dazzle and Omni Knight. And then Absolute Legends banned Chen, Invoker, Night Stalker, and CM. So actually, Absolute Legends banned Invoker all three games. So maybe they're
Interesting.
not comfortable enough with him yet, and they just forget it if someone on their team is, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely think some interesting things going on in this game in the picks and bans. I think the biggest part when we looked at the last game, actually, it was kind of Slardar against Dragon Knight, kind of going into the late game, and that's kind of what they had to deal with. Nice to see that there's actually now kind of someone that we would consider a hard carry brought in to try and deal with Dragon Knight if he gets put on the other team, like he does in this situation.
And I mean, it is hard for any, especially melee, to stand up with Dragon Knight just because he is such a beast. He's got that long stun in melee, or even now a little bit of range when he's in dragon form. He's got some nice burst damage to the cone. He's got tons of armor and health regen, and then his ulti. I mean, we don't have to say about it too much because that's kind of what makes the hero with that AoE, frost, burn, pillage, loot. I don't know. I'm just gonna keep saying words until something happens. I mean, yeah, he's just really hard to stop. But then Faceless Void is probably one of the few that really has a move that could lock him down really well. And then if he turns up that attack speed, it's really going well, he's going to keep him locked down, and that's what's really important. If your Dragon Knight can't attack and get his big AoE things off, then he's really not going to contribute a lot, obviously, to the fight.
Yeah, I mean, that's too what I really love about this Beastmaster pick. He kind of, we see him here and there now, not as much as we did back in the day, but that aura, the attack speed aura, is huge. And when you're putting it next to a hero that's so dependent upon attacking and getting procs like Faceless, just a really smart choice by Fire in this situation.
Yeah, it's 40% attack speed aura, and I mean that's just nuts. I mean you compare that to like I think you were telling me before the game, like a Hyperstone's 55%, so it's almost a Hyperstone for your whole team if he's in the area, and I mean that's just beautiful. I mean there's nothing more you'd really want from an ally, except I guess maybe a damage aura, but hey, I guess they're not stacking them, so whatever.
Take when you can get.
Show.
Interesting too with the Beastmaster. Sand King was sent middle to deal with him. Kind of one of the few times we get to see Sand King put points, a lot of points into Caustic Finale to try and be able to fight melee hero in the lane. And then also really interesting about these bans and picks. Enchantress picked up not against Chen.
Yeah, just kind of picked up. I guess they just really thought she could bring something to the table, and I mean, she does, obviously, she can be a jungler, which I believe she was used for, correct, in this game?
I believe so.
Yeah, I mean, she wouldn't do too much in the laning phase. And then, of course, those wisps, you can't underestimate those. A really powerful heal. It is a long cooldown. I believe it's 45 seconds or something like that. It's really long, but it does give a ton of healing if you can out-survive the damage. And then, of course, the impetus. That's what I call it. Maybe you pronounce it differently. Impetus. That's
Impetus.
Yeah, the way I say it sounds like a problem with male genitalia. Anyways, impetus. That sounds better. Impetus. Wow. Yeah. Anyways.
Do you suffer from impetus?
Totally.
Talk to your doctor.
Anywho, yeah, impetus. Yeah, can dish out some major damage if she's left alone to just keep throwing those, especially at decent far range. Yeah, she's gonna dish out some good damage. So she's someone to look out for, but it's just at the end of the day, I feel like she's not as strong. She doesn't bring as much as, for example, a Chen does in terms of like pushing power, ganking potential. I don't know. You might disagree with me.
I pretty much agree with you. I mean, I think she's a much more stable amount of damage than Chen. Obviously, Chen has to rely on tests of faith to be able to do a ton of damage. Or just the sheer number of creeps. So I guess it really depends on what kind of role you're looking for in this situation. They obviously wanted to pick up a little bit more damage, so they decided to go with her. Also, there was the opportunity to steal Darkseer's illusions. So if Darkseer copies Dragon Knight while he's in his Frost Dragon form, she has the opportunity to steal that and then use it against the other team to try and stall a push or just do AoE damage in a team fight. We actually saw that she does do this late in the game, but at that point there wasn't really much that it could do, unfortunately.
Yeah, actually, another thing interesting to note, Fire ended up getting Vino all 3 games too. Either picked first or second for them, so they really put a lot of value on that Venomancer. I know you agree with that, personally.
Oh yeah, I mean I love Venomancer to death. He's a really strong hero. Capable of just doing a ton of damage and stalling pushes, being able to sort of build yourself a little foothold in an enemy lane to kind of make it a little bit more difficult for the enemy team to push you out or to even initiate on you, because you have kind of this stable amount of damage if they move into your area vis-a-vis the wards. Of course, the Venomous Gale is huge, 50% movement speed slow over a very long duration. He's just a really nice hero to have, and especially when the metagame functions like this the way it does, I think you either got to get him or Shadow Shaman, if not both.
Some kind of wards going,
There you go, yeah. Serpent or sort of Serpent.
Or Death Ward by Voodoo. Or Witch Doctor,
there you go.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Get all the wards.
All of the wards.
And then Crystal Maiden can buy all of your sentry wards.
Oh, there we go. The legit wards.
Boom.
Done.
There you go.
But yeah, overall, I'm sorry, Pugna has a ward too. Anyways, there, we covered it.
There's 5th.
There, done.
Juggernaut, that's your carry.
Oh my gosh.
Healing
There
ward.
it is, that's 5. We just made a
Yeah,
team.
so forget Crystal Maiden.
Team ward.
Oh man, that's beautiful. Can we do that sometime?
It synergizes too, which is funny.
Oh man, we gotta try it.
You know what's interesting is, you never see, but a Witch Doctor that gets like a lot of farm and gets like the Agamons,
Oh
that is amazing.
It's a tremendous amount of damage.
I do miss seeing it, and it never really happened. It never was really popular, I guess, in the pro scene, but when it happens like a pug game, and like they do really well with it, oh, It's so amazing. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, we saw in game two when Witch Doctor got picked up. He didn't level up the healing R as a priority. He was really going for the Poison's Cask and the Maledict. So he was actually doing a lot of damage in that
Yeah.
game, but no augments, unfortunately. That's what they should have done to win.
Yeah, and I mean the other
They
interesting
realized.
thing, it kind of works similar, well, sort of similar to Ancient Apparition's ult, and not completely, because Ancient Apparition ult, if you can't catch any heals, nothing will heal you. You just until that ultimate wears off, you're just gonna have to accept it. You can get healed during the Maledict, but you can't use like health pots or bottles or anything that like will have to work over time because that damage just is constantly ticking.
Mm.
Um,
Mm-hmm. Very
so
true.
I mean, it does bring like another factor. Like once you get that on someone, they can't really use any kind of regen or anything. They can only use burst heals or something like that. So it's just another element to play with, really. You know.
Yeah, definitely. I hope we get to see him more and more. He's a really cool hero. I like him a
Yeah.
lot. I know you hate Cask like with a burning
Uh,
passion,
Worst move in the
but
game. Absolutely. Yeah.
I think the something that's really kind of interesting to point out about kind of through the course of the game, we've seen some different, I guess, strategies in playing Faceless Void once he hits that level 6. Definitely seen some competitive games recently where people will, as soon as they get it, and as soon as the cooldown's up, they'll look to try and use it on like a single person if they have to, just to be able to try and get a kill and sort of just add that to their farm. But actually in this game we saw some really efficient Faceless Void ulting that really, I don't think he ever used it for just one person. He either got 2, 3 people every single time.
Yeah, and I mean that's so important. It really is. That ulti is not a very short cooldown. It's at least 100 seconds, and I mean, kind of like similar to like an Enigma ult, if you will. Like it's one of those ultimates that can make or break the outcome of the game for your team. I mean,
Mhm.
if you can use it properly, like you said, if you can set it up on 2 or 3 heroes at a time, just keep them locked down without any way to like really keep them out of it. It's just gonna really change the course of that fight. And I mean, I'm sure. What did they catch a lot? Like I'm assuming they tried to focus on at least Dragon Knight, maybe Shadow Shaman a lot.
Yes. I'm gonna say I remember at least 2 alts on Dragonite. Like they used it one time to go in on Kongor when the other team was trying to kill him or Roshan, pardon me. Um, was able to use that ultimate, stop Dragonite, get a kill on him then.
Hmm.
There was a time actually in the bottom lane, something else interesting to use that ultimate for. Faceless was by himself, he got ganked by 2 people. Drops the ultimate, he laid in a couple of auto attacks, then time leapt out. But that ultimate kept the enemy heroes there so long that his team was able to get there and reinforce him, and they were able to turn that around, get 2 kills
Hmm.
for nothing in exchange. Of course, if you can like do it around a tower too, then they're just sitting there in that tower range getting attacked by that. I mean, it's a really nice ability. I
Well,
believe the towers can attack through that, yeah?
well, if the tower's caught in it, it can't attack.
Oh, there you
But if
go.
it's outside, like if it's right next to the tower, then it'll attack them. So
Then do that.
that is the preferred method. Professor J has spoken.
There you go.
Professor PBJ. Yes. So yeah, really good pick there. It really did work out for them. You know, they ended up winning the series 2-1. So yeah, like you said, a really good job by them. Now, like there's someone to be considered. Just another team up in the running. And speaking of teams up in the running, I know you don't know a ton about them, and I actually don't either. But this new team from CLG or Counterlogic Gaming has just entered the scene. And pretty much, if anyone knows anything about the competitive scene, the only name that you'll really probably stand out to you is Loda, who has been on the Dota 1 scene, the Here's a Newer scene. He's been all over the place. And I think he's even played some Dota 2, maybe as a ringer at times. But I don't think he's actually stuck around. But now he's on this Counterlogic Gaming team. And I mean, I'm just excited to see what they can do.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm up for anybody new in the competitive scene,
Exactly.
man. It's really nice. We haven't really had anybody that's been like standout, like leading the pack. Navi was for a while, but since they got beat by the retry, really, there hasn't been anybody that's been like just taken all the tournaments.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like Navi always does well, but they definitely don't always win, and they actually haven't been in a lot of tournaments. They are in that defense tournament, which I'll kind of want to transition to in a little bit here. But yeah, it has really been just a mixture of people, which is really cool to see. You really don't like seeing the same team win tournament after tournament because it's like, okay, can anyone beat these people? What's going on? What else I was going to say? Oh yeah, also a couple like little team changes going on. Nothing huge, but the team that was SK Gaming now dropped their sponsorship. They are just called DD, which has been people interpret that as different things. Some people say it's DD like Dexter from Dexter's Lab's sister. Some refer to it as Ding Dong. There's been a lot of variations of this DD. So I'm just going to call them the Damp Droids because that was my fantasy football team.
There you go.
Anyways, so they're looking for a new sponsor. They're still definitely competing. They're still a very good team. They're, I guess, just looking for a little something more concrete. Then also MTW, who used to be the Wild Honey Badgers, as you recall them from that tournament they won.
Oh, yes.
They actually had a roster change. They did drop two of their players, and now they have Tulex and Bentzer to replace Matrim and Kuro. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, the problem, MTW just was on a terrible losing streak. They couldn't even figure out, and I mean, I remember overhearing things between Toby Wankanobi, and Synderen, and he couldn't figure out what they were doing wrong. They'd watch the games, they're like, we just don't get it. And I guess they just thought of, okay, there's nothing we can really change except for a roster change to really get us back on track, and that's what they did.
Yeah, I mean, here, if you want to transition in the defense, if you look at the group stages, Group Stage 1, Group A, MTW 5-0. Group Stage 2, 0-5. Unable to pick up a single win there in that second group stage. I mean, obviously that's where you're going to start running into the harder teams, but you got to figure they got to pick up at least one in there somewhere. They're actually the only team in that tournament to go 0-5 in round 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is a shame. No one wants to see that, especially from a team that just came off such a high in the past couple months, But yeah, they did. I mean, we're going to see how it obviously goes. I'm sure they're going to keep at it and hopefully jump back into the scene to be another wrecking force. But I mean, it's just something we have to wait and see kind of deal. But you did a transition. I'd like to just jump onto that since you did.
Oh, you're welcome to, my friend.
So like you said, the second round of the group stages, those have all finished now, and what's going on is the playoffs coming up, which actually the first, I say the first game, I believe there's a tiebreaker game coming up tomorrow evening in about 20 hours or so, and that's going to be between Fnatic, MSI, and Mouse Gaming, or Mouse Sports. And so the winner of that tiebreaker will be in the playoffs, and essentially there's going to be the upper bracket, lower bracket. It's going to be set up, I think exactly pretty much like the Infused Cup was, where there will be like the loser bracket final will then go up and play the winner of the upper bracket final, and it won't be weighted. Similar thing there, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't think so.
So similar thing there. And the upper bracket we got the Team DD, Ding Dongs, Damp Droids, versus EG. I don't know which one to call them yet. I'm just gonna keep going.
Double damage.
Then we got Navi versus Absolute Legends. And then down south in the lower bracket, we got Dignitas versus Panzer. And then that winner of that game, so either Fnatic or Mouse, will go up against the Western Wolves. I was gonna call them Team Shakira, but I have to. I have to keep at their current name, whatever they decide to go with. Western Wolves, as they like to go by. So it'll be really interesting to see these matchups. I think especially the upper brackets really got me excited. I'm really curious to see the styles like Navi versus Absolute Legends. I think that should be a really interesting match as well. I mean, all these games should be good. There's really no questioning that.
Yeah, there's a Denmark off between DD and EG. Find out who is the greatest in the land, too. So that'll be really interesting to watch. I mean, all these teams have really played fantastic games throughout the course of the competition. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to all of these.
it's
for
just
sure.
kind of interesting that in Group 2, where it's Fnatic and Mouse battling, they both tied at 1-3. So like one of the 1-3 teams is coming in. And I mean, it just the way it goes, like because they had Navi and EG in that group, and they just
Mhm.
wrecked house. They both went 4-1. They just did a fantastic job. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna be the record doesn't mean anything. It's the playoffs, right? Anything can happen in the playoffs. Just look
There you
in
go.
the American NFL. Who won? Who won the team with the 9 season wins compared to the Patriots? I'm just saying. You know.
There you go. Yeah, and then of course, as we were just talking about, Fire coming up from the losers bracket
Yeah.
to clinch the Infused Cup. So there you go. Never know. I was thinking recently too. There was a team kicked out of a tournament, correct? For
Yes,
do you remember who that was off the top of your head?
I did. Give me a half second.
One misses. Okay, go.
When I said a half second, you know what I actually meant?
27 and a half
It was
minutes.
EG actually, and they didn't get kicked out of a tournament. They got kicked out of the Premier League,
Snap.
which eventually is a tournament, but it's more like a
There you go.
season thing. But yeah, Fire replaced EG in that Premier League, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, they were kicked out for being late twice and not
Mm-hmm.
informing anybody. Actually, there was a problem in the defense too, where a team tried to reschedule their game 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm actually really glad that we're sort of getting people that are running these tournaments to sort of crack down on stuff like that. Because, this is professional stuff, People want to see teams being responsible and playing at their best and really putting forth the effort and stuff. And just, like, especially in EG's case, like, not even telling somebody that you're not going to be there, kind of a big deal.
Yeah. Apparently, they were really unorganized about it. They weren't happy about, I guess. Apparently, if it's a game between an Asian team and a European team, they decide to host on the U.S. West servers.
Hmm.
And I guess, yeah, I mean, I guess that has something to do with the timing of the matches or whatnot. But I mean, that's really no excuse. I mean, like we look at some of the teams. I believe Absolute Legends. Are they the Aussie boys? I think they're one of them.
They are,
Yeah,
yes.
and I mean they stay up sometimes wee hours of the night to play some of these teams. And I mean, like if you just got to be dedicated, if you want to be in like this professional scene, we can't all live in the same country, so someone's got to make sacrifices somewhere. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
just if it's just the fact that they were just not professional about it. They didn't tell anyone about being late. It's just really that wastes not only the time of the players on both teams, but also of the tournament people that host it, of all the spectators that are expecting to watch. It's just the list goes on, and you can't act that way.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of the unfortunate thing because, at the end of the day, these are still video games. All these
Right.
people that are really going to be at the competitive level are the age group that's saying old enough to know better but young enough not to care kind of thing. So I'm glad though that people that are organizing these things are sort of being somewhat forgiving, but then are also being like really strict when people are kind of getting out of hand and really trying to
Mm-hmm.
take away from the tournament at the end of the day.
Agreed.
I agree.
Did you have
Is
another
that
thing to tell you, or did I was gonna?
you were gonna ask me something random
It's
and
not even a difficult
pop
question.
quiz?
Pop quiz.
Oh,
Jay's
geez.
PB and
7. Is it 7?
J's jelly time.
My answer is 7. My final answer is 7.
Okay, we're done.
There
So so jelly time with PB and J. Um, it's a new segment. Deal with
What?
it. It's jelly time,
Sounds gross.
or should we just call it peanut butter jelly time? Anyways, I'll think of the name. That'll come. So let's say you had to pick a lane that I
Hmm.
want to deem the term a kill lane. What two heroes do
Yes.
you pick for a kill lane, and why?
Killing?
The purpose of this lane is not to get farm; it's to annihilate the two people you're up against.
Hmm. I am going to think about that for a second. And while I stall for time, I'm going to say that I think it's kind of weird to think about it as kind of just as a kill lane. I think I would definitely want to pick at least one hero that would be able to put a significant amount of pressure on the tower. Because, if you're going to just be looking for kills, then you might as well try and do something with it. Either have somebody that's going to be able to get mobile and take advantage of the lane advantage, go somewhere else maybe and try and generate some extra kills, or that's going to be able to help push down the tower. I mean, me personally, Venomancer's obviously really good at that. Has the 50% movement speed slow, as we said earlier. He's going to be able to help push the lane. He also is going to be applying a slow with his auto attacks as you're leveling that up. I guess it really kind of depends, what you're feeling after that point. If you want to run a hard carry with that and think of Venomancer as more of a support, I suppose you could go with somebody... Even like a Faceless Void being able to get the random stuns, but I guess if you were looking for like straight up just take somebody out, Skelly King might actually be a really strong pickup for that. He's gonna have some potential burst through the critting. He's gonna have a stun and then a slow once they come out of that. I think there's a lot of potential for that lane to be able to set up a lot of kills. What about you? What about you, champ? What'd you pick?
My kill lane. It's Windrunner Pudge.
Oh,
Shackle
well, that's
shot,
ridiculous.
hook.
Yeah, Pudge kind of synergizes pretty well with
Anyone with a
stuns.
stun. Anyone with a reliable stun. I mean, Windrunners isn't 100% reliable, but if you're a decent Windrunner player, I mean, you're going to be able to set those up well. But yeah.
Me and Terps have played a couple times as a Venomancer Pudge lane, and it is hysterical.
Oh, yeah.
And for the reasons really that we just listed, even when I would like just sit in the lane and push up, if we were like Dire and we were in bottom lane, even if I pushed up to the tier 1 tower, we're getting vision around the tower, so that's setting up potential Pudge hooks. And so I can just walk past tower, throw out a Venomous Gale, and either run past the tower to stop taking the damage or back off, and that's slow. And the damage from that is enough to help get at least one kill for Pudge. And that whole time, I'm also applying pressure to that tower. That's kind of the one sort of unfortunate thing about running Venomancer in a situation like that. It's like, well, if I'm looking to get kills, then I don't want to push the lane, and I want to kind of try and generate a kill and then look to push, which, really early on into the game, the wards aren't going to be so good at pushing that, you're going to be able to take down the tower like halfway before, somebody gets back. So I think that's really kind of the only maybe problem of putting Venomancer in that kind of situation. If you had like an AD carry, Vengeful Spirit would obviously be very good. The negative armor and the stun, fantastic. And of course, you're going to start picking up the damage R as well. So that's another good one there.
Yeah, I like Vina, but I don't think I like him as much for a kill lane. I like him for every other possible. I like him for pushing. I like him for setting up ganks, but I don't know about just absolute kill. I really want a reliable stun. Just to guarantee that kill. Like, the slow... Okay, I guess if you... Like you said, if you said Vino Skeleton King, okay, that's a pretty good combo. But if it's like Vino and then someone that doesn't really have a good stun, then you might miss your Venomous Gale or something bad might happen.
Vino Slardar.
That would be pretty good.
That would be pretty good. Because then you even have the bash chance on top of that.
Well, like 10%, 20%, whatever.
Well, yeah, but, I mean...
Still. Stun's a stun.
Chance. A hope. Chance.
A prayer. I don't know what that one came from. Okay.
I mean, if you're looking to set up something like that too, if you got a hero like Enchantress too, in your jungle, can also has a slow herself, and of course can mind control a Centaur Khan to increase CC that much more, and then we'll have a creep to help push as well, if you're looking to do something like that.
Yeah,
this is a random question. Where did that come from?
It just came in. You know what? Wondering. I try to think of ways sometimes to like, how can like maybe the meta be shifted? Like what direction? What can happen in the laning phase so that you get different results in the middle and late game? And like
Mm-hmm.
kill lanes, and I guess I kind of got the idea from League of Legends to be honest, because I was watching some scrims going on, and there were just some of the pros were talking about how if they ran, because the normal meta in that game is you have this carry and support on the bottom lane, so it's very similar to Dota in that sense. Um, but if you ran a kill lane, is what they called it, like a double, really heavy, like strong, high damage heroes in the beginning of the game, they could really shut down that carry, like just by themselves without even the help of ganks and roaming and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And like that just really threw the other team off completely, and they had to adjust. And like, so just just formulating ideas of maybe how things can get a little mixed up, if you will. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of been one of I guess my problems with League of Legends is because you can't be as mobile. There kind of are a lot fewer options you
Yeah.
have. Because there are TPs in this game, even if you're just dominating a lane, then you can move around and you can shuffle around. Because you aren't necessarily always thinking, okay, I want one person top, one person in the jungle, one person mid, and then a support and a carry bottom, like every single game. You might be looking to pick heroes that can function more than one role. They like a Windrunner doesn't have can solo really well, but doesn't have to. So, if it's like, okay, Windrunner, I really need the farm up there. You have to come bottom. Okay, sure, no problem. They could do something like that, and it's not as like earth shattering as like, okay, Caitlyn, you need to go top, or something crazy, like League of Legends. The other thing too, the kill lanes in Dota are, like I was saying, if I was gonna look to do something like that, I would also be looking to accomplish like a secondary goal, be able to push a tower, use that to maybe put pressure on other lanes somehow. There's because you have so many more options and so much more mobility, you really shouldn't just be looking to grab kills unless you're trying to just get these kills on like a hard carry that's going to be able to get those big items quicker and really increase the farm. I think you should really, look to either, like I said, push or gank other lanes.
I'm in agreement. So I think, yeah, I mean, that's just could be a direction that, I mean, we'll have to see. At this point, especially with the limited hero pool, it's probably not going to shift up a whole lot. I have been thankful that it's not all about, it's not the anti-mage Spectre show anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Now you see all these pushers, you see all this, Vino's in every single game, I swear to God.
Love it. Love it.
Where's Bat Rider? He's the next one. I
He
wish.
was in there was like a week where he was like in several games. Like, oh snap, what's he doing here all of a sudden? But then he just kind of like fell off again.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's because he's only effective against those squishy people that can get killed while he's CC'd kind of thing. Like,
Hmm.
if you try to use that on, like, Dragon Knight, okay, he'll probably survive. You know what I mean? So, um,
Very true.
yeah, okay, we can wrap this up.
Alrighty. Well, tune in next week for episode 13, the luckiest number there
Of
is.
course.
Thanks guys for tuning in. As usual, you can come and join us in the IRC. Hold on, I want to click just to. Okay. Next time, you better be there.
You better
Join us
show up.
in
We
the
have cake and pie.
IRC.
No, punch.
Yes.
Punch and pie.
And not just like we hit the alt key and then hit like 147 or something and got like just pie to flash up and nerd joke. No, there's legit pie. We promise. You can also check us out on Facebook. Like I said, we will be posting a link to the interview with the team captain of Fire, so you guys can get some little reading done there. And then of course, come check us out on YouTube and on TV.
7 o'clock Tuesdays. Show up.
7 o'clock Tuesdays. There you go. Thanks for joining us, guys. We will see you next time.